Teemo is surprisingly still one of the best decks in Riftbound. This is why. The match started out with an amazing hand. With my opponent missing his 2-drop, I dropped a Ravenbloom and passed back to him, where he threw down a Sprite and passed back to me. Back on my turn, I brought the Ravenbloom over to the Sprite, and I threw down a Stupefy, taking it out, where I then hit an Edge of Night and played a Ravenbloom in base, and I passed it back to him, which he decided to Singularity the students, and this was pretty crazy.
By God's light, I smite you!
Back on my turn, I threw down an Ember Monk and a Tie Turner just to get something in the base. I then ended my turn with a stacked deck, grabbing another Ravenbloom, and it was back to him. He decided to play a Sprite Burst, where he went to the Arena's Greatest and the Bandle Tree, getting another 2 points. Back on my turn, I brought my Ember Monk with the Edge of Night to take out the Sprite. I then decided to throw down a Sprite Call and bring it with the Tie Turner just to play around and on guard, getting me another point. I then decided to hide a Consult the Pass with the Ember Monk and Teemo with the Sprite, just in case, where he then threw down a Thousand Tail Washer, and he decided to go for my Sprite. So I had to flip Teemo, and with Teemo only being +3, it was still 5-7, and he took them out. Back on my turn, I flipped over the Consult the Pass, getting a couple cards, where I then threw down another Sprite Call and brought it over to the Thousand Tail, where I immediately threw down a Switcheroo. This was devastating for him, and with that, getting me my 6th point. I then decided to play a Sprite Mother and bring the Ember Monk back to base, leaving the Sprite Mother and the Sprite at the Bandle Tree, where he then played a Riptide Rex, targeting the Sprite Mother. I had a feeling something was coming. He then played out a Stalwart Poro, and it was back to me. Back on my turn, I played out a Mundo in base, and with counting up the discard, I don't know how he was going to get over this. But back on his turn, he brought out the Rex over to the Bandle Tree, getting another point, and the Poro over on the Arena's Greatest. And with him going to 7, I had to do something. So on my turn, I brought the Ember Monk over to his Riptide, where he threw down a Smokescreen, which I had the answer, and I just top decked a Switcheroo. This was amazing.
Exodia! Obliterate!
And with taking out the Rex, I then brought Mundo over to the LeBlanc, and there was nothing he could do because Mundo was just too big. But honestly, pretty good game.